Open Line Friday, Rush Limbaugh executing assigned host duties flawlessly with zero mistakes. There's also some audio sound bites here. There's a few that we got to get into. So we've got a jam-packed hour coming up. I would really urge you to stay glued to where you are. Don't go anywhere till I say so.
WHIO Dayton W.
Hi. How are you? Great to have you back, my friends. Rush Limbaugh, your guiding light. And it is Friday, so let's just keep hitting it.
Live from the left coast at our satellite studios in Los Angeles, it's Open Line Friday.
I don't think there's anybody better than Johnny Donovan at saying Los Angeles. There is nobody better. Not Ed McMiniman. There's nobody better. There's no better staff announcer than Johnny Donovan. You know, back in the old days, folks, I think about the old days a lot. In the old days at real radio stations, they had people that were called staff announcers. That's what they were. And let's say the morning guy, Fred J. Gambling, called in sick after a night of gambling and booze. There was always a staff announcer on standby to move in and do the show. And he was called the staff announcer. Never had a name. Now the costs are prohibitive and don't have companies pay people hanging around, just waiting for people to not show up. But in the old days, when money was not an object, back in the Sarnoff days and the Paley days, the staff announcer days, you really had these guys, and that's what they did. They just hung around, and they had great pipes, great voices. The old days of broadcasting. Anyway, it's great to be back with you. Open Line Friday, wrapping up a week here in Los Angeles, and here's the final bit of data here from Mark Rank of Washington University, which is the best counter to this Thomas Piketty book. We left off with the fact that the top 1% is such an unstable group of people that people move in and out of it. You think of the 1% as Warren Buffett and the Koch brothers and the Bill Gates. That's the 1/10 of 1%. The 1%, 12% of the American people are going to be in that group at least 1 year of their lives. And it's small. But at least 12% are going to move in and out of it. But you can't study it. You can't make any definitive economic, socioeconomic claims about them because they change too often. It does not contain the same group of people from year to year. There's a tax scholar by the name of Robert Carroll who has examined IRS records. And Professor Rank notes that the turnover among the super rich, top 400 taxpayers in any given year is what the super rich category is, the top 400 taxpayers. The turnover among the top 400 taxpayers in any given year is 98% over a decade. You know what that means? It means that just 2% of that group remain there for 10 years in a row. Now, you listen to Barack Obama and the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, Dick Gephardt, and you're going to be told they're the same people. They've been there since the day they were born. They're going to be there till the day they die, and then their families take over. And they're this evil, faceless group of people. They start sipping cocktails at 4:30 in the afternoon, playing polo or croquet, clipping coupons, don't even know when the country's at war. That's not who they are. They are you. They've been your neighbors. It's the essence of freedom and liberty and opportunity that makes this possible. It is not command and control economics. It's not people assigning these incomes to people. It's not networking. If you could network yourself into this situation, you'd stay there forever. It's work, folks. It results from work. It results from creating things that people want, producing services people willing to pay for, and then staying on the cutting edge so that your competitors don't outdo you. Capitalism is bloodlust. Capitalism is, look at what's going on with Apple and Samsung and everybody in the smartphone industry right now. It is some of the bloodiest competition you will find in the civilized world. And it is unfair, and it is filled with tricks, it's filled with chicanery, it's filled with deception. That's what it is. And the big boys play in that league. And you want to be a big boy in that league, there's a route you take to get there. And you can in the United States of America. Some people don't want to go that high. Some people don't want to get involved in that game. Some people don't have a stomach for it. Some people don't want to deal with the stress. Other people thrive on it. We're all different. We cannot ever be the same. It's one of the most profound insults, particularly for a leader of a country like this, to even assume that sameness is possible. It's even worse to assume that sameness is an objective. So 2% of the super rich remain there 10 years. 2%, top 400 taxpayers any given year remain there for 10 years. Among those earning more than $1 million a year, most earned that much for only 1 year of the 9-year period studied. Only 6% earned that much for the entire period. Ultimately, Professor Rank writes, this information casts serious doubt on the notion of a rigid class structure in the U.S. based upon income. It suggests that the United States is indeed a land of opportunity, that the American dream is still possible, but that it is also a land of widespread poverty. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics finds that among allegedly privileged 1%, inherited wealth accounts for only 15% of household holdings. A smaller share than it does among middle-class families. There is going to be poverty in great wealth. There just is. You're always going to have extremes in everything. There is no flat line, folks, unless you're dead. And then your line is flat. Oh, excuse me, hit the wrong button. There is no flat line. But poverty in the United States of America is not like poverty around the rest of the world. Those in poverty in this country eat regularly, drive cars, watch television, and make phone calls. And I get lambasted every time I make that point, but that's Robert Rector citing statistics that he's worked up at the Heritage Foundation year after year after year. Now, Pete Wehner, Commentary Magazine, Obama's staggering record of failure. And just some pull quotes here. It's not simply that Mr. Obama has fallen short of what he promised. It's that he has been, in so many respects, a failure. Choose your metrics. Better yet, choose his. Job creation, failure. Economic growth, failure. Improving the healthcare system, failure. Reducing the debt, failure. Reducing poverty, failure. Reducing income inequality, failure. Slowing the rise of the oceans, failure. Healing the planet, failure. Repairing the world, failure. The Russian reset, failure. Peace in the Middle East, failure. Red lines in Syria, failure. Renewed focus on Afghanistan, failure. A new beginning with the Arab world, failure. Better relations with our allies, failure. Depolarizing our politics, big failure. Putting an end to the type of politics that breeds division and conflict and cynicism, failure. Working with the other party, failure. Transparency, i.e. honesty, failure. No lobbyists working in his administration, failure. His commitment to seek public financing in a general election, failure. The list goes on and on. Barack Obama was among the least prepared men to ever serve as president. It shows. He's been overmatched by events right from the start. He is an excellent campaigner, but unusually inept when it comes to governing. Man, this is a Limbaugh theorem, is it not? This is the Limbaugh theorem to a T, and Mr. Weiner has swerved into it. He survives by constantly campaigning against what he has caused. He makes it look like he is opposed to what's happening, except he is the one making it happen. He does not govern. He cannot be seen as governing. That's the point of the Limbaugh theorem. Obama's non-accountability rests on the fact that he is not seen as governing. He's seen as campaigning and being constantly against all of this stuff. But this line, Barack Obama was among the least prepared men to ever serve as presidency. How did we get here then? Because I maintain that it was known in 2008 that he was among the least prepared to ever seek the presidency. So why is it that some only now, in 2014, feel comfortable saying so? Well, there's all kinds of answers for that. But you remember David Brooks? David Brooks, one of the learned class, a conservative columnist of the New York Times. Remember what he said? Obama's crease in his slacks told him that he was going to be a great president, and I am not making that up. We had our own intellectual class fail us by signing on to this, because Obama was one of them. He was a Harvard man. He was a Columbia man. He was the first African-American president. He could speak. He could articulate. He sounded intellectual. He sounded smart. He sounded erudite. He sounded sophisticated. He sounds like us, they said. But if it is safe to say that he was among the least prepared men to ever serve as president today, it was true in 2007, and it was true in 2008 because there has been nothing that has changed. It has only gotten worse. And the New York Times has their own version, or does the Washington Post their own? Got to take a break here, but there's another attempt at, it's a Time magazine. Obama's foreign policy failures are proving his critics right. Let's take a break. Don't go away, folks. Much more as promised when we get back.
In every corner of this world.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a college that wraps up this coming Monday that you're going to want to know about. It's the Constitution 101 course from Hillsdale College, the online class that you can take free from this prestigious college in Michigan. For 10 weeks this spring, Hillsdale professors have been sharing their lectures on the Constitution with you through an online video lecture series. And this coming Monday is the grand finale, the big finish by Dr. Larry Arnn. The president of Hillsdale College still manages to find time to teach courses every year, including this one, Constitution 101. Now, this is a course that gives you more information and context on the meaning of one of our nation's most important documents. It's really easy for you to see this coming lecture on Monday and the 9 previous ones, too. They're all online and they're all on demand, meaning you can watch them at any time convenient for you. If you wanted to watch them back to back, you could probably do that too, if you wanted to binge on them. Each lecture is about 40 minutes long. A variety of professors deliver their very best orations to make this a very compelling series. Compelling is the key. Anybody can sit there and read the Constitution to you. Anybody can sit there and tell you about it. But if somebody can make it compelling, make you want to learn even more than what they're telling you, that's how good they are. That's what they do. The entire thing is free, folks. Hillsdale College does this because of their commitment to the sense of freedom in this country. They know that if you are all more informed, you're going to want to share what you've learned with others, carry the conversation further. They believe, they like to share their passions. They believe that the key to rescuing this country is to further education, understanding of the Constitution. That's what they believe. That's their passion. That's why they're giving it away. They want you to see how they do it. They're making it available online at absolutely no charge. The same course that students' parents are paying through the nose. You get it for nothing. That's how eager they are for people to be exposed to this. And that's what learning is all about. It underscores the mission of Hillsdale College, learning and teaching. Here's what you do. There's a website set up just for you, rushforhillsdale.com. Just go there and sign up, and the lectures are ready. Take them whenever you want. Watch them whenever you want. Rushforhillsdale.com. And I swear it's free and there are no strings attached. Okay, going to grab a phone call. Promise we're going to get phone calls in. Where are we going? Who's first? Tell me. Okay, I got 3 numbers there. Okay, the computer's down, so I'm getting verbal cues. This is Mike in Tucson, Arizona. Hi, Mike. Great to have you. Welcome to the program, sir. Hello.
Hello, Rush. Dittos from sunny Tucson, and thanks for everything you do. I wanted to echo everything that you said the last hour. You're 100% correct and exactly on point, and it's been very, very true in my life. I started my company over 30 years ago, and I've been for many years in the top 0.5%, and I've never struggled harder over the last 5 or 6 years than I am right now. But you go in and you go out, and the one thing that doesn't change, I think, for people that achieve that level is their work ethic and drive, because it's not tied to money. It's just like your career. You do it because you love it, and you never quit, and, you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I also have a theory on your top 1% and why people come in and go out, if you don't mind. Unless you're born with a lot, is kept in a trust for you, the people that achieve that, Rush, are there because they take risks. You know, they succeed and they continue to take risks. They're calculated.
Yeah, you know, let me jump in here. Let me because Larry, Mike, there's a point here. Both of these feminist books, the Claire Shipman book out and this Marlo Thomas book, here we get feminists who have been practicing liberal theology for the past 40 years. And what have they finally discovered? They need to learn how to risk, and they need to learn how to fail. They're just coming to it, Mike. They're just now discovering what that means. You and I, you've known it all your life. But it's not, to them, it's something new. It's something they think it's brand new, revolutionary. Why? We've got to get better at failing, meaning we've got to start taking risks. And it doesn't dovetail with what this administration's putting out. Risk-taking is the root of evil in capitalism. Risk-taking is what leaves people high and dry. That's what Obama wants people to believe. And I just find it fascinating. Several of his acolytes, particularly on the feminist left, all of a sudden now have decided that risk-taking is something women need to get better at in business.
Risks on different things in their life. I mean, that's the only way you can truly appreciate success. That's the only way you can truly achieve success, is you have to take a risk. Now, maybe it's with a relationship, maybe it's in business. Any decision you make involves a certain amount of risk. Not all risks pay off. I mean, you try to make the best decision you can, but you keep moving forward.
Well, risk manifests itself in a whole lot of different ways. I once had a guy asked me what level of risk he thought I was taking my grass. I don't think much. And he looked at me, and his eyes bugged him. He said, you don't think you're taking risks? No, I've got fallback positions if things don't work. He said, you're crazy. You have no idea the risks you're putting yourself up to every day. And when he explained it, I understood what he meant. It's been dormant in terms of my cochlear implant, not just tied behind my back. It's actually been dormant. That makes all of this even more incredible. Well, trying not to pound on the table, too. I'm cognizant of that. Brand new study found that nearly 1 in 5 adults who are active online have had their private information stolen. 20%. Could be you. Social Security number, credit cards, bank account information. Has it ever happened to you? If it has, if you've ever got a panic email, change your password because their website's just been hacked, you know how you feel? And if somebody says, oh my God, they got my credit card number, oh no, and you're going to start calling the credit card companies. If you lose, somebody steals your purse, your credit card, your wallets, and you realize the hassle that is. Well, imagine all of that happening and you don't even know it. You're at home minding your own business and some hacker is out playing around and defeats the security on a website and you happen to be a logged on member. How are you going to know? You're not going to know until somebody is using your data to buy stuff and then you hear about it and now you've got a mess. But there's a way that you can learn that this has happened to you before anybody starts charging things. It's called LifeLock. Right now, this heartbleed thing that happened on the internet affected 66% of active websites. There was a vulnerable digital data flaw at 66 active websites. Then there were the massive data breaches at Target, Neiman Marcus earlier this year. Millions of credit cards and debit cards were exposed. People didn't know. You know how you feel when you know what happens to you. When somebody's run off with your credit card or you've lost it or something and you've got, oh my God, how many credit cards do I have to call? Oh no, the bank. You become a member of LifeLock and all of that ceases to become a problem. Because whenever there is any theft involving your data and thieves then try to use your data, LifeLock sends you an alert. It says, hey, there's some weird activity going on here on your credit card account. Are you trying to buy 15 chinchillas right now? And, of course, you're not. You say, no, I'm not trying to buy 15 chinchillas. I don't care. And they shut it down. And that's how it works. And you can't miss these alerts. They're sent email. They phone you. They're bright red flashing lights on your email pages, websites. You can't miss it. Best identity alert system going. And it works. You should test it. Become a LifeLock member and set up a new bank account. See what happens. You'll get an alert. And you'll find out what it feels like to think that somebody might be setting up a new bank account in your name, even though you know you're doing it, so it's a test. LifeLock is at 800-440-4833. If you use my name and you call, save 10%. It doesn't cost much to begin with, so it's a heck of a deal. LifeLock Ultimate. The most comprehensive identity theft protection ever created. Not only does it help guard your identity and your good name and your credit, those are essential. LifeLock Ultimate even monitors your bank accounts for takeover fraud now. They just got the Best in Detection award among identity protection services. LifeLock 800-440-4833. Mention my name, offer code RUSH. God, Matt in Phoenix. I'm glad you called, sir. Welcome to the program. Great to have you here. Hello.
It is great to talk to you. It has been, I called you once 18 years ago. I was working as a paramedic, and right in the middle of our conversation, I got a dispatch call, and I had to hang up. And it's been 18 years trying to get through, but I'm glad I waited.
Wow, you got a dispatch call and you had to hang up 18 years ago.
It was the one time I got through. The one time I got through to you, I was working as a paramedic, and right in the middle of our conversation, tone went off and I got dispatched and had to hang up. So it was, at any rate.
Well, here you are. You're back at it, proving that you are not a winner of life's lottery, but you are a stick-to-itive guy.
I am. Although I will say I did win life's lottery with my grandson, and that's who I wanted to talk to you about. He is 4.5 years old, 5 years old. My wife and I are raising him with our daughter. He was born with auditory neuropathy spectrum disorder. So he kind of hears, but it doesn't translate into anything. It's like they explain it as hearing white noise. So we had a cochlear implant done 3 years ago, and one of the most exciting days of my life was the day that about 6 weeks after the surgery, when they put it on for the first time and they turned it on, and I just happened to be talking, and that little boy whipped his head around with an astonished look on his face and just smiled, and it was absolutely incredible. Now we're thinking about a second cochlear. And as you know, and the nerve, when they put in the cochlear, it does stuff to the nerve. And I'm kind of wondering if what you would advise on a second cochlear versus one, waiting longer. Basically, if you had to do it over again from what you knew 10 years ago, would you have gone and done it immediately, or would you?
Well, no, I can't change the circumstances I was given. 10 years ago, I was told fairly confidently that in 10 years there was going to be a cure for what ailed me, and so that I should keep my second ear untouched so that the cure could be applied to it and natural hearing restored. And that's
kind of what they've told us.
Right. But 13 years ago, it's all changed. 13 years ago, the best science of the day said that all any cochlear implant patient needed was one, whether they were deaf in both ears or not, only needed one, because two, A, cost prohibitive, B, the benefits were not measurable in terms of speech comprehension and a number of things. But that's 13 years, a long time ago. Now, I would bet last 2 years, the medical community has been imploring me to get the second ear done because they've had an entire change of heart on the nature of bilateral implants, and patients' success measured in terms of speech comprehension, perception of environmental sounds, spatial awareness, where sound comes from, and general enjoyment of life. I'll tell you, I always, just me, when 13 years ago, I said, why are we only doing one? What is this? I never believed there was going to be a cure for baldness. I thought that was smoke and mirrors, but I had to trust the doctors. I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting two at once anyway. Well, God gave me 2 ears. Why are you guys only going to replace one of them? What do you know that he didn't? I mean, that was my thinking on it. So, but I trusted what they said. In your case, what is the nature of your son's deafness? And are there any real possibilities that his natural hearing could be restored in his lifetime? I mean, he's only 5 years old, you said.
Well, and right now we don't know what he is actually. We know he can hear noise. He just can't process that noise. It's like, the best way to explain it is like as if that nerve is asleep and it's constantly tingling, and when he can hear a noise but cannot process that into sound. So that
let me step in here again and try to help the audience understand this, because folks, I'm going to venture to say that most of you don't understand what this man said. What do you mean his son can't hear? Because you can't relate to not hearing. People that have not experienced deafness, I can't emphasize this enough. You cannot replicate deafness. You can't put your hands over your ears or headphones on your ears and replicate deafness. You can't do it. You can close your eyes and be blind. You can strap yourself into a seat and not be able to walk. You can replicate other disabilities, but you cannot replicate blindness. So when you hear a man like on this call talk about, well, we don't know what our son is hearing. Grandson, we don't know what he's hearing. He's hearing sounds. He can't tell them what he's hearing. He doesn't know enough. Everybody's flying blind here. He doesn't know if he's hearing words, the things coming out of his parents' mouths. He's never heard words. He doesn't know what he's dealing with. His grandparents have no clue, and the grandchild cannot tell them. It's the biggest mystery in the world. Now imagine Helen Keller, who was blind and deaf. She went nearly insane trying to communicate with people. It's really a tough thing for people who can hear to put themselves in a position of people who can't, because you can't relate to not just hearing sounds is just, that's easy. There's nothing. And when that's all somebody hears, and they don't know how to convert them into words because they've never heard words before, your grandson has a lot of time ahead of him with therapists that are going to try to teach him letters and vowels and language and this kind of thing. And I just see how it goes in that one ear. One thing to take solace in, though, regardless what happens with speech and your grandson, he is always going to be connected to his environment via sound, and that's irreplaceable. Even if he doesn't know what you're saying, the fact that you're making sounds, he's going to interpret them some way, and in conjunction with your facial expression, he's going to know when you're happy, and he's going to know when you're not. He's going to be able to make connections, and you are going to establish ways to communicate. It may not be verbal right off the bat, but the fact that he can hear environmental sounds, it's a safety thing. If he's out, he's going to hear sounds like a car close by or whatever. It's all good, no matter what the negatives are. There's good in all of it. And from what I'm being told, the doctors now, that the second implant is only anecdotal. There's no really scientific empirical data on it, but all the anecdotal data is that the second implant is an improvement. Well, to give you a short answer to the question.
We know he can hear because when he's doing something he's not supposed to, like using Grandpa's iPad without permission, he will take his implant and pull it off the side of his head and let it hang down so that, well, if he can't hear us, we obviously can't hear him either.
Right. You clever little guy, you. That's. But he can use an iPad with no problem.
He has learned to use the iPad, and for a kid who was born with a brain malformation and deaf, and we were told all sorts of things that were going to be wrong with this kid, he is just absolutely an incredible kid. We gave him an old iPhone that we no longer were using and have it connected to the Wi-Fi so he can use his sign language apps on it. We haven't been able to get him an iPad yet, but that's down the road. And we're looking at the technologies to be able to connect with Bluetooth to the iPad.
I was just reading last night. And by the way, Matt, now don't hang up here. Apple and their latest iOS 7 has got some of the most amazing hearing aid software. It's astounding for people who can hear naturally to be able to hear in crowds, to improve hearing in crowds. It doesn't do people like me any good. You've got to have residual hearing, but Apple has some of the most incredible, you named it, low power Bluetooth, third party hardware that works in conjunction with their system software that is apparently miraculous, used in conjunction with an iPhone. It's just, I wish, when I was reading the story, I wished that it would work for me. But it doesn't, because I don't have any residual natural hearing. Now, I've got to go. I'm going to put you on hold, but I want Snerdley to get your address. I'm going to send you guys an iPad Air so he can have his own, and at least I can do it. Just play yourself out with this first implant. See how it goes. You've got all the time in the world to decide whether to do a second one. And the doctors will tell you the best thing to do on it. I have full faith that they know what they're doing there. I'm not going to play doctor with you in that. Got to take a break. Thanks for the call. Sit tight. We'll be back, and don't hang up now, Matt, so Snerdley can get the address and tell him what color you want. I think we have some. We'll just send you the Air. I'm not even sure we have any minis left. The Air's better anyway because it's lightweight and thin. Big screen. We'll do that.
You're listening to Rush Limbaugh.
The big voice on the right. Grandson's name is Eric, and we're going to send him a couple of Rush Revere books along with his iPad. Say, folks, what gives you a sense of security you've never had before? For Gary, there's a listener here on Open Line Friday. It was something he did to his home. He installed a home security system from SimpliSafe. Gary and his wife moved to a new neighborhood 2 years ago, a nice neighborhood. 2 home burglaries took place after they moved in, and it created enough unrest at his home that no one was really sleeping well. On top of that, Gary travels once in a while. That made Michelle even more uncomfortable. And then SimpliSafe came into the picture. It's a home